Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, want to discuss the endangered black men agenda. The endangered black men agenda. See, this cannot be said enough because I cannot relay this enough. From a book called Propaganda. From a book called Propaganda. I'm just reading this, just a few sentences from the first chapter under Organizing Chaos. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true power of our country. What does that have to do with the show's topic? The endangered black men agenda. Well, very simply, because without supremacy, the most awesome mental manipulation force has ever existed, who are the masters of bad versions of mental manipulation propaganda, there cannot be on a type of disgusting, demonic, centralistic, not synergistic, centralistic, right? Type of extremely negative portrayal of black males without the power of supremacy. Because it is the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. It just is. And unfortunately, that, as I cannot keep saying this enough, the African ancestors native black personnel only has that half a generation to one generation left. Yes, the African ancestors native blacks only have half a generation to one generation left of culture survival. Now, that's a truly unfortunate scenario that, unfortunately, there are quite a number of African ancestors native blacks that just don't want to hear that. And that's okay. It's okay. It doesn't change the equation that supremacy already understands this. They already understand this. This is what's going to happen. And so, especially when you get into the type of topics, that is going on right now, with such racial racism going on. Scenario that. And so, the thing about it is that with so much racial racism going on, it's just a sad thing. Right? And people talking about the critical race theory or personnel within the predominant-based culture, numbers of them that want no part of talking about critical race theory issues at all, will come up with some of the most nonsensical excuses, right, to not talk about critical race theory. When various parts of the country in history had racial racism toward the American blacks. Even though when people talk about critical race theory, they can be talking about different personnel from different cultures, etc. But the main personnel that brings about the most crucial element of atrocious behavior, right, and numbers of personnel within the predominant culture, the personnel that cause the most friction and the most hatred is toward the American black and African descent native blacks. That's an unfortunate thing because, again, the critical race theory also goes into uh, the African descent native black males. Because even though, I don't want to go on that, but even though you had, you know, the African descent native black males, or you want to say Africans, or uh, however the wording is, a personnel that was in the Americas, however the black native personnel or the personnel were already in existence in what was called the Americas, whatever that name was before here. Some people will say Turtle Island, that's fine, or however other different names, but it still remains the same, that the African ancestry native black personnel would have still been the most type of man that would have had to have such hatred put upon them. I mean, the thing about even with the enslavement process, I'm not even talking about the person who's already here. We're not even talking about that right now. Right? I'm talking about the enslavement process. Who were they bringing over to the Americas first to be over or worked free of charge in those hellacious plantations? Who were the first personnel? Numbers of African American males or numbers of African American females? It wasn't African American females that was brought over first. No, it was not. And a lot of people do not want to have that kind of conversation. No, it was the African ancestry native black males that were brought first to do all the dirty work and infestation of mosquitoes and clearing out whatever type of muddy areas, swampy areas, etc., going through all those infested diseases that mosquitoes can carry and do carry, clearing out all the crazy tall brush, all that kind of stuff, building up the plantation, all those things like that free of charge. It was the American black male. But through supremacy, the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. Because under their awesome mental manipulation leadership to various parts of the society, it's to show as many black males in some type of non-constructive way. They must do that. They must do that. They must show and make sure, however it goes, and talk about, oh, deadbeat males, but no, they want to get some kind of focus on talking about black males. Right? The brilliance of supremacy through however various parts of media, etc., that want to just portray in an overall way some type of laziness of showcasing numbers of black males in some kind of way. They want to show as much as possible some type of criminality. And that's almost like the go-to among supremacists among each other. They'd be like, hey, what can we do to bring upon more votes, more sympathy, more control of personnel, more direction that they want many parts of society to go? What can we continue to keep doing? Oh, easy. What we've been doing for generations. We want to make sure to showcase some type of what we have created, black criminality. Remember when we did that powerful, movie, The Birth of a Nation? When we did that before? Remember that? Yeah. I wasn't alive then. Yeah, People that came before us to create the birth of a nation, which would have been before, again, not again, but many other cultures, ethnicities, and certainly there was no such thing as a birth of nation that was geared toward numbers of alternative lifestyle personnel. But you got personnel within that area want to sit there and tax themselves and then get mad at people like Chappelle. What an insult. That's a whole different topic, because that's just something whole different, right? And a whole different topic. Because when there's a strong black male as Chappelle and however other small numbers, when they speak about different things, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. Because in this system, they want dorsal numbers of black males. They love them. They love them. But back to the point. This system want to show black criminality, or what they have created, black criminality, as if there is no such criminality going on toward the numbers of numbers of males within the predominant culture, however numbers of them that commit criminality daily, however numbers of personnel. It might not be the gigantic amount, but they want to pretend that there's really no such thing as Asians doing any type of criminality. They want to play like, again, that model minority that, really no Asians out there do no wrong, which is a bunch of nonsensical toes tongue on that. Because I want to show that video. I'm going all that because things cannot be shown enough about that. But as if also there's no such thing as criminality in numbers of Hispanics culture. Again, most personnel don't want to say, well, we're talking about Afro-Hispanics. You see where I'm coming from? So it's always a genericality, just saying Hispanics. But many people want to say, hey, man, what about the Afro-Hispanics? What about the numbers of Hispanic personnel that want to be like some numbers of personnel within the predominant? What about them? Because the only thing you got to do is look at some of the shows that are in Spanish, and you sit there and see how their phenotype look. And they do not look like some stereotypical, what they want to show, a pauper-looking Hispanic person. They don't show that, do they? Nope. They show ones that look like personnel within a predominant culture by by external non-melanation. They pick the ones that have the highest non-melanation, look like personnel within a predominant culture as they can, to put them on those kind of shows in Spanish. But that's a different topic, right? But the point is, it's all about showcasing negativity in black males. Right? But not the other personnel. There's no such thing as numbers of what we call, we've been told so many times what Native American looks like. But I guess there's no such thing as numbers of Native American males that don't commit any kind of criminality. But we don't talk about that, right? It's always about showcasing the black male, doing all the wrong things and things like that. Right? It's always about that. I mean, it's a very sinisteristic, atrocious propaganda, but it is brilliancy that continues to keep happening, right? See, they make sure not to talk about the historical powerhouse of African ancestry, Native black males that have created so much in this society. So much society. However many personnel within the predominant culture who have stolen and grabbed up patents. That's a known fact for the person who don't know. Grabbed up however numbers of patents that no one will even know about, that was created by the hands and the mindset of African ancestry Native black males. Which is a different topic in itself, about the magnificent inventions and just inventions in general about American black males. And by the way, who do you think created more African ancestors? Who do you think created more patents and inventions, things like that? The American black male, the American black woman. The American black male. There wouldn't even be a comparison. But in this today's society, you got people acting like that is American black women that's doing all kind of stuff. You got numbers of American black women. I'm not talking about those fear-minded American black women that's doing a thing that ain't trying to fall for this nonsensical feminine supremacy mantra demonicness. Credit given to some of those African estimated black women that ain't falling for that. And even them, they still catching a lot of stuff by numbers of American black women that don't like American black women that talk about the truth. So you see how that is. Dang if you do, dang if you don't. Combination, however it goes, right? Half a generation, one generation left for the American black culture overall. That's it. Too many problems. Too many problems. A different topic in itself. But again, most parts of society, various parts of media, and definitely quite a number of personnel within the predominant culture, not trying to sit there and show powerful African ancestry, Native black male achievements in this country for so many generations, and even now, 21st century, right? However many still African ancestry, Native black males are still doing inventing, being successful. Now, I'm not talking about just externalism now, okay? Just saying just being successful. They're not being deadbeats, not doing criminality, not being lazy, right? None of that nonsense, right? None of it. But this society overall does not want to showcase those constructive numbers of black males. They don't talk about an overall amount of American black males do work and not sitting being lazy. How many times I come across something that show some kind of show or series, whatever it is, the American black male, they got them sitting on the couch, playing games, not doing anything. The American black woman, she's at home. I mean, she's going to work, or she has a business, a stay-at-home business, and she have a business somewhere out and about, whatever, as a building or their own office. She comes home, and the American black male's on the couch, sitting there being lazy. How many times have I just came across that? And this stuff is still being portrayed. But they're not going to talk about a different topic. They're not going to talk about the single black male fathers and how the numbers of African ethnic black women who have gave up on their own children, who have left their children, who have cheated with somebody else. See, they don't want to talk about that. See, it's always dealing with some type of, those black males are this and black males are that. And it's done on purpose. Okay? It's disgusting, but it's done on purpose. Right? See, in this society, strong black maleness is not acceptable. Let me say that again. In this society, overall, strong black maleness, strong black menness, should I say, the presence of that is not accepted in today's overall society. Right? No, that's all about showing that anti-black male hatred toward the males. How is it that you have, and there's no comparison, right? You have numbers of professional, numbers of Asian, professional numbers of personnel with, well, I'm going to know that, professional numbers of Hispanics, numbers of some professional numbers of what we call Native Americans. How is it that they don't have the same type of hatred put upon them as the hatred that's put upon numbers of successful black males? How many? How many teachers, architects are lawyers are, business personnel, et cetera, medical doctors, et cetera, right? Real estate personnel. How many personnel like that have got anti-black hatred toward them? Males. But again, no laws, policies passed for the American blacks in general. What an insult. But the point is, supremacy does not care about constructive, positive, strong black maleness. That is extremely no. And they're not going to allow it to happen. They're not. Now, any type of male that just happen to have a black phenotype facial wise or body wise, but laughing and hee-hawing all over the place and docility, right? Truly acceptable, right? Non-constructive entertaining, that's acceptable, right? Making money off the blackmail, doing this and doing that, but can't, nope, but none of that ownership. No. Can't do a lot of ownership of their own teams. Nope. Or start their own leagues. Nope. You can't have it that you're doing that. Oh boy. Let me show you something, okay? Let me just show you something. Give me one moment. Let me just show you something. Let me just show you something. Ah, boy, I tell you, man, the way they do the portrayal of the African ethnic black male is so sinisterlistic and so disgusting and so anti-black male. And by the way, I'm not talking about the sellouts. Again, don't care about sellouts. Don't care about them. They can stay somewhere else in another culture, or be like somebody another culture, and when they get reminded or wherever it is, they can just stay their tail over there somewhere. Don't need them. Don't need sellout African ancestral black males inside the culture of African American or American blackism. Don't need that. Don't need those anymore. But unfortunately, they will still be used, and they will still be part of the American black culture overall, because they have not what I would call being culturally excommunicated from the black culture. They won't ever do it. No, overall, won't do it. They won't ever do it. But let me play something from the grand teacher. He's no longer in his regular existence. But these type of males, black males, they said we won't allow that to happen again. Not those type of strong black males. Nope. From the greatness of John Henry Clark. There are some personnel who know him, of course, and there are quite a number of people who do not know him. The great Dr. John Henry Clark on that. Let me find here. Okay.
Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created.
Now that might be too low. Oh man, that might be too darn low. But let me try to play it again. That may be too low. I'm not quite sure. Oh man, let me try this again. Man, that might be too low. I'm not quite sure. On that, you might have to turn the volume up or something if it's just too low on that.
Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created.
Supremacist knows this already. Supremacist knows this. Matter of fact, high numbers of other cultures know this. There is no comparison to the American black male or African ancestral native black males overall in general. There's no comparison. And certainly from historical powerhouse history relating to Africa or Kabalan, there would be no comparison than the greatness of a lot of the African males in battles. There's no comparisons. And the system knows this. That's why they do so much to sit there and remove any type of masculinity factor from maleness. That is a no-no in this society. They want less of that. They want less masculinity, right? But let me also put a little extra on there from the great John Henry Clark, Professor John Henry Clark, on that.
I think the gods of Africa created it. Once you lose track of your heritage, you lose track of your liberty in this world. The Europeans doing the slave trade not only read the African out of history, they colonized history, they colonized information about history, they colonized image, they colonized the image of God. Who told you Christ was white. He was born in that part of the world predominantly occupied by non-European people. So you should not get into the argument of whether he's white. All you have to say, was he a Greek? No. Was he a Roman? No. But these were the only people partially white in the area at the time. If he wasn't a Greek, he wasn't a Roman, he was one of those other people. You don't have to argue about the shades of color. So far you concerned, once you establish he was not a woman, he was not a Greek, your conversation is over.
Now, I have to play that one last time on that, because to me that is a very powerful, although they're very powerful comments. And this is not about religional osity on that. That's just a reality of that. And supremacy just does not want those kind of things. They don't want those kind of things talked about, right? They just nope. Be like nope. They be like, can't have that. They be like, nope. You're not gonna talk about that. You're not gonna talk about that on that. See, and that's what makes the power of supremacy on that greatness, because they like, no, we're not gonna let you sit there and and talk about strong, constructive, powerful history on that. Nope, they don't want you to do that. They only want what are you gonna call it? Just negativity. That's all they want. Just complete negativity. The more negativity, the better it goes. I wanted to try to find something. If you don't mind, just give me a second. I was trying to find something that was of an animation that is very powerful. But before I do that, I'm trying to look for, see if I can find it or not. Let me just talk about that for a second. No, actually, let me just play that again, okay? Let me just play that again let me just play that again on that. Okay, that is definitely worth hearing again.
I think the gods of Africa created it. Once you lose track of your heritage, you lose track of your liberty in this world. The Europeans doing the slave trade not only read the African out of history, they colonized history, they colonized information about history, they colonized image. They colonized the image of God. Who told you Christ was white? He was born in that part of the world predominantly occupied by non-European people. So you should not get into the argument of whether he's white. All you have to say, was he a Greek? No. Was he a Roman? No. But these were the only people partially white in the area at the time. If he wasn't a Greek, he wasn't a Roman, he was one of those other people. You don't have to argue about the shades of color. So far you concerned, once you establish he was not a woman, he was not a Greek, your conversation is over.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that on that? That is so powerful on that. Again, it's not about religiosity on that. That's just relaying reality of logical analysis on that. Because again, the system of controlling the images of anything blackness, it must be controlled. Even when you got personnel that have the super audacity of white lies talking about, oh, well, the curse of Ham. Right? Cain, talking about Ham and things like that. And it's interesting how they do that to make sure to utilize to utilize those type of things on that, to try to also enslave the minds in certain types of biblical scenarios, right? Right? Think about that I mean, how nonsensical is that, right? That in Genesis, where it talks about uh, the descendants, right? Right? And how Ham is supposed to be cursed, which is supposed to be some type of uh, 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 descendancy from ascendancy to black folks, right? On that. But it's quite interesting, right? When you have Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham, Shem, and Japheth. The Ham is supposed to be relating to the black folks, right? The curse of Ham, right? Now it's supposed to be a curse upon Ham by Noah, which is a whole different name in itself, right? Which is a whole different game in itself, right? Because Ham's supposed, well, I don't go to all that one. So, but the whole point is that Ham was supposed to be cursed by Noah, right? And that's supposed to be going in toward the the cursing of Ham, right? Was then supposed to proceed after that to the blacks, right? Black skin, right? And it's the interesting part on that when that nonsense continues to keep going. Because even though in the biblical sin, it had not said nothing about that the personnel of Ham and things like that are supposed to be cursed from a time immemorial. That's not what it said on that. It's not what it said. But this is the kind of nonsense that keeps going on again toward the American black male. Who do you think they was talking about predominantly, right? But black men, black women, right? Because who was Ham? Ham was supposed to be a man, right? Who was Cain? A man, right? So the thing about it, give me one moment. I'm sorry. I want to read something. I want to read something on that, but I'm not going to do that on that. But it's just the thing about talking about the curse of Ham, right? The curse of Ham, also called the curse of Canaan, refers to the curse that Ham's father Noah placed upon Ham's youngest son Canaan after Ham saw his father, well, without clothing, should I say, because of the drunkenness in Noah's tent. Is relayed in the book of Genesis, right? It said the curse of Ham has been used by members of a certain type of religion factions to justify racism and enslavement of people of African ancestry who were believed to be descendants of Ham. They were often called Hamites and were believed to have descended through Canaan or his older brothers. The racist theory was widely held during the 18th to 20th century. It's the 21st century now, so it's still going on in the 20th century, right? So the thing about it is that even though that's not what, in the biblical faction, that's what it said, that the curse of Ham is supposed to be, that's supposed to be it for time immemorial. It said nothing about that at all. Nothing about that in that kind of way. It's out of context. But the thing I'm getting at too is that it's just a discussionality that anytime dealing with some kind of strong black maleness, it doesn't matter religional, be it post-religional, as far as post-Hamness, going to Civil War, pre-Civil War, post-Civil War, uh, Reconstruction, going into the Harlem Renaissance, going into the Black Wall Street. I'm just going to go a little bit before the Black Wall Street, or going into the World One, going to World War Two, going to the Vietnam War, the Korean War. Excuse me, going back to World War Two, World War Two, the Korean War, Vietnam War. Any type of strong blackness is a no-no, right? When it starts to look like American black males are getting more stronger. Nope, that's a no-no. They gotta stop that. And that's what the disgusting thing about that is. It's so disgusting because American black male is becoming even more endangered. And so the thing about it, they use all types of situations, right? So many different ways they come out to strong black males. They again have a number of sellout black males in face only to come out the African ancestors, native black males, right? You got however numbers of personnel with Banana-based culture. Some of them within that context that can't stand and have so much hatred toward numbers of black males. You still got what the disgusting, atrocious KKK still running around, right? And who were they named? Who were they named? Their main targets, right? Beside obviously, in black folks in general, but who were they main targets? The American black male, not the Hispanic male, not the not the what we call Native American males, not what we call the Asian males. Wasn't even thought of in that kind of way. When the KKK was running rampant, when they first started in the late 1870s, they would even had a conversation about those Asian males. Because when you say Asian in general, you're talking about more of what? Western coast, not Eastern coast, right? And they sure don't want to talk about numbers of Hispanics, right? In the late 1800s, because you still talking about there are some independence issues still going on in certain areas over there. So that wasn't even a conversation on that overall. And they surely, the Ku Klux Klan racial terrorism type personnel, they surely won't think about what we call Native Americans. That wasn't even on the radar. So who else were their main targets? The American black male. What other males in society in America was lynched? What other males were lynched more than American black male in racial issues of hatred? No other personnel was lynched the way that black males were lynched. There is no other personnel. There is no books out there. Show the freaking books that showed all these different Asian males that were lynched. Show the books that were showing these various Native American males that were lynched. Show this book that was showing the number of Hispanic males that were lynched like black personnel, because it does not exist like that in comparison. So the American black male have always been the number one racial hatred target. Just like, again, when the bill was passed specifically for Asians, which is another game in itself, because they're still talking about, what is it, Alaska, Natives, Pacific Islanders, whatever it is. They add that part in. A lot of people don't talk about that. And he said, wait a minute, there are black islanders. There are black islanders. The South Pacific has gigantic amount of islands. So which islanders are they talking about? Right? But this is a game they keep playing. But that's a different topic too. So the African ancestor Native black males, or the American black males, have been the ultimate thorn in the numbers of personnel within Padang-based culture. The ones who have so much over history control wanted numbers of American black males to be extinct as much as possible. And when they now can do even more to try to endangered even more American black males. Still removing numbers of American black males from households, breaking up families. But at the same time, got all this lava toward anti-black maleness overall. The American black man has to deal with a lot of hatred from numbers of his own American black women. Not some of the ones that are good that ain't trying to do that. But seeing the supremacist system, they say, I don't care. They said they have more knows American black women that are also doing the bidding of feminine supremacy. Because feminine supremacy overall, they can't stand their own males within a predominant-based culture. They can't stand them. So that's why they got their own battle. And many American black women don't understand that. The battle, feminine supremacy, has always been against numbers of their own males. Because they don't want to be told what to do. Now, does that not draw a ring or something like that? That correlation, how numbers of feminine supremacy, numbers of women within the predominant culture, the numbers of them who know who they are, they don't want to hear anything about their own males telling them what to do and how to do it at all. They be like, this ain't no Leave the Beaver Days. This ain't no anyway. This ain't no Leave the Beaver Days. This is no Eight Is Enough or whatever other shows out there. They don't hear all that kind of stuff. They say, fire. They say, no, we do what we want to do. No one tells what to do. And then you see that vileness. That vileness seeps down to numbers of American black women, right? And they start mouthing the same type of parakeeting vileness, right, toward the American black male. You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm independent. I'm strong. I don't need no man. But the KKK said, that's correct. Racism, and they said, okay, that's okay. As long as you do what we want you to do, numbers of American black women to your own males, black males, keep doing it. Even though, however, numbers of you forget so bad, how many of us have reminded numbers of you black women over and over again with hatred toward numbers of black women? How many people from within predominant culture have showed over and over again hatred toward the American black woman? But do you see the vile disgustingness of, brilliancy of mental manipulation of getting numbers of American black women to do the bidding of feminine supremacy? That is mental sickness. You're talking about, what was it, only around the mid-1950s? That's not even 100 years from now. I mean, that's not even 100 years ago. That was going on after World War II. What other culture of males served with brave and distinction in World War II? Males. You better even think about talking about the ones talking about, what about the Japanese? I don't think so. There is no comparison to the number of American black males that served with distinction, brave in World War II, and had however many units. Don't you even dare bring up some one unit, something like that. I'm very well versed on that unit, right? But they don't want to talk about the number of African ethnic black male units in World War II. Matter of fact, people want to play that idiotic game. Show me the numbers of Asian male units in World War I. Show me the number of Asian, Hispanic, Native American, border break, illegal immigration personnel I'm separating them, right? So don't even play that game. Show me them in the Spanish-American War. Show me those same males in comparison, right, in a Civil War. Black males have been some of the most bravest, courageous, and patriotic personnel within this country. However, many black males that serve with bravery. Matter of fact, hold on for a second. Matter of fact, I said that. Let me thought about something. Give me one moment. Give me one moment, hero.
One of the first casualties of the War of Independence was Crispus Attucks, a black merchant seaman killed in the Boston Massacre of 1770. Slaves and free black men fought together in the Continental Army. But after the Revolution, African Americans were largely barred from serving. Some ignored the ban and fought valiantly in the War of 1812. Among the most famous black units of the Civil War was the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, whose heroic assault on Fort Wagner in South Carolina became legendary for the display of bravery against all odds.
I salute that brave unit of the great American black historical powers history. Where did it say anything about Asian males, Hispanic males, Native American males? It did not. And how many numbers of an American Revolution, it's a fact, how many numbers of males within the predominant culture were running off like cowards? See, that's not the kind of stuff people want to talk about. Yes, however numbers of males within the predominant culture that was running away from the American Revolution like cowards, going POW, prisoner, anyway, not being approved to leave. AWOL, absent without leave. Absent without leave, meaning they didn't get permission to leave. And still you had numbers of African and Native black males that stood there, still want to sit there and serve the country, even though they've been treated like nothingness, but they still want to sit there and serve and help battle with America. And that stuff is not want to be talked about within this country. We just had Veterans Day not too long ago. And as usual, just like on 4th of July, the rarity that is talked about the black veterans, present and especially in the past, but especially in our past, the historical greatness that the American black male has shown so much in bravery over different wars, and still don't give the accolades that they should get. But they want to sit and call the American black male lazy and anti-patriotic. What nonsense. Oh, they have some against the enforcement personnel. What a bunch of nonsense. However many of black males within certain parts of enforcement have brought up different issues going on with racial racism in various certain parts of enforcement. And however many examples, that's a different topic, that they've had different enforcement personnel that have shown racial racism to personnel that happen to be black within this certain type of enforcement areas. That's a known fact. It's a known fact. So how can black males be anti-certain enforcement when you got black males in certain parts of enforcement that have got racial racism toward them? So you can jump your little, I'm gonna say some words. You can jump that self into a lake of fire. Go jump into a freaking volcano with that sidetrack. Ism. But let me show you something again, about what they always want to show the negative of black males, right? But they make sure to minimize when other cultures do despicable, deplorable type of things to numbers of black women, right? I'm just saying, oh, it goes on. Oh, we talking about black males too. I'm not going there. But I'm just saying, so the American black woman overall better understand that they're coming toward the American black woman. They're already doing as it is. Racial racists are coming toward the American black woman left and right. And it's going to be even worse. It's going to be worse because they understand if those American black women continue to keep talking about laziness of black males, they ain't nothing. They're deadbeats. Right? They don't want commitment. They're emotionally unavailable, etc., etc. Oh, they always want to get with women within the predominant culture. Oh my God, over and over again. But it's okay when numbers of American black women get with numbers of males within the predominant culture. It's okay. It's acceptable, isn't it? And however numbers of American black women that have got with numbers of males within the predominant culture, however numbers of them have brought up, oh, the person called them some derogatory name, however many examples of that. Oh, there are some problems going on a little bit when I try to relay this over, and this person, the male within predominant culture, he really couldn't understand what I was trying to say. However, knows that stuff go. I'm just giving an example. But you still got way too many numbers of American black women that sit there doing the bidding of feminine supremacy and get mad with numbers of black males, get with numbers of women within the predominant culture, other different cultures. But it's okay when American black women get with other people from different cultures. You see the silliness of that. But feminist supremacy, love it. Because they're gonna continue to keep using numbers of black women anyway. It's like, again, what they did with the Ice Cube man, Ice Cube, legendary person, right? You had various numbers of black women on the panel. Instead of them coming together as a one unit discussing, yes, Cube, appreciate that, country for Black America. What can we do to help out? And we want to make sure we try to get ours like any other people like that. Nope. It was just more against a black male, a strong black male, right? We're going to do for an American black woman. I brought them other different show, right? Billions of dollars by a certain type of big time financial institution with $100-something million of other type of investments supposed to be for black women. Nothing for black males, but very quietness on that, isn't it? Quietness from a lot of black women. I tell you, supremacy is brilliancy, right? It's brilliancy. Let me show you something else for a second. This is from one of my shows I did before, similar show. But let me just play this, okay?
None of people don't quite get this part, right? It's saying that at an intersection of race and gender in the U.S., within the country, shows that while education and income reduce the risk of discrimination and depression for numbers of personnel within the predominant culture and numbers of women within the African ancestry Native Black culture. This is not so for basically black men. Oh, now, did you hear that? Did you hear that part right there?
Look, I have got to play that again. Let me play that. I got to play that again.
None of people don't quite get this part, right? It's saying that at an intersection of race and gender in the U.S., within the country, shows that while education and income reduce the risk of discrimination and depression for numbers of personnel within the predominant culture and numbers of women within the African ancestry Native Black culture. This is not so for basically black men. Oh, now, did you hear that? Did you hear that part right there?
Black males going through so much black pain. It's going to be worse. Now, unfortunately, you can travel as many places you want. Racism by different other cultures don't stop them from having hatred toward numbers of black males. However many countries out there who pretend numbers of their males, some don't care. They see an American black male in their own countries talking to their women. So what for some of them? And however many of those numbers of those males within certain other countries, they can't stand to see American black males talking to numbers of women from their own other different culture. They can't stand it. And just because some black males don't experience racial racism from numbers of those males, don't make it not true. Just being lucky. And so that's the thing about that is kind of just illogical, because you got numbers of American black males. Well, let me phrase that. Facial body purposes only that have black in them, but are so illogical, what I call the Urkel effect, what I call the Carlton effect. Not the person themselves, but the actions. They like that Urkel effect. They love that cause and effect. They love knowing the black males that come across docile, right? Happy-go-lucky, comfortability toward numbers of personnel within predominant culture and other cultures. They love people like that. They love them. They love them because they don't have to worry about them understanding the power of their cultural American black history. And or they'll say, "Oh, that's the past." While they don't tell Native Americans to forget about their past. Nope. Right? They don't tell how other people, hey man, forget about that bad dictator did this to your people. Numbers of people did that people. That dictator did this to some other people. Nope, they don't tell people like that because they know better. They know their place. But it's always numbers of American black males that got to sit there and open their mouths up and say such infantile scenarios and minimize this great black achievement history, even the present, and minimize the racial racism that continues to keep happening daily. I think the other day I was reading something about a 10-year-old black girl in one of the way up northern states, 10 years old, that took her life. That's a different topic. I won't go into too much. She took her life behind racism and she had autism and things like that, but that's a whole different topic. But how many black males have had their haircuts by some women within the predominant culture, how other personnel cutting their hair like that? I don't go on all that. I'm just saying, but they do also want, by the way, they also do want to sit there and go toward the American black male youth because they want them as well. They want them docile. They want them saying such nonsensical part of, oh, well, that's in the past. Don't worry about that. Critical race theory. Don't worry about it. We don't want to sit there and mess any feelings up by these youth males within the predominant culture. We don't want them to feel bad. What? The most horrible, horrific, tragilistic, vileness, demonic treatment of any males in American society has been toward who? Hispanic males? Nope. Asian males? Nope. What we call Native American males? Nope. And certainly, sure, numbers of, I ain't waste my time with that part. No one else comes close to the violence that's put against their males, but only toward the American black male. But you got a person with a predominant culture that want to do. We don't talk about critical race theory, huh? Right? The list is long of racism in the 21st century that continues going on toward the American black person in general, but more American black males. Show me statistics where it shows the American black woman comes close to the tragilistic vileness, lynching, anti-hatred within a culture equal to black males, because it doesn't. Because the American black woman overall is not a threat in this system. The American black male is a premier threat in this system still. Strong, educated. It may not be form educated, but it's educated knowledge and information. That is a threat to personnel in society. They don't want that. They want weakness. They want selloutism going on among certain parts of American blacks. They want that. They want more problems of strife between American black women that look down upon American black women as if formal education by itself equals common sense. And by the way, somebody won't play that freaking stupid game. Well, I went to this school and college. Whose college is on the top 20 list or top 10 list in the country? Huh? Excuse me, sorry. What list shows the top 10, top 20 in this country, shows numbers of predominantly black demographical schools? Because there's no such thing like they're on those top lists in certain type of magazines. There is no such thing. And a question also, logical question, is who controls accreditation? Numbers of American black women who will look down upon numbers of American black males that may not went to college the way they think, or the American black man went to this other college and this American black woman went to this other prestigious college. Again, so what? You're no threat to this system of supremacy. You're no threat. Who will be their protection? It's ridiculous because the stuff is so obvious, but still brilliancy. And numbers of American black males are going to have to make some decisions. They're going to make some tough decisions. Or if they want to keep sitting there accepting numbers of disrespectful, degradable violence toward the American black, how long are they going to keep tolerating that? Now, there's some that's get tired of it, they get away from that nonsense. Right? And you got numbers of American black women saying, oh, they're tiring. They're this and all that. Oh, they can't handle a strong black woman. No one cares in this society about your perceived strong black womanness. Who cares? No one. Most of these people don't care about that nonsense. Because the system says you don't control nothing in this system of supremacy. You don't control nothing in this system of supremacy. And what's disgusting, you're talking about less than 100 years ago, that American black women and American black men overall was a cultural powerhouse unity. And how we still had ones that were still talking to other different cultures. I mean, other different person within predominant culture. So what? It wouldn't have been that gigantic many. So what on that? But I'm just saying that the American black woman and American black male was more of a cultural unity. The American black women overall, those mid 50s, pieces of 60s, definitely in the 40s, 30s, 20s, they had to be as a collectively strong because of so much racial hatred toward both of them. Not 400 or 500 years ago, just last century, people, that American black man and black woman was in formal segregation in the mid 1900s of the 20th century. But you got a person that don't want to play this little stupid game of, oh, critical race theory, we don't talk about that. What? But that's brilliancy, right? Because they say, make us stop that. Make us stop treating numbers of you Negroes like nothing. And it ain't gonna stop overall. Right? And numbers of American black males got to deal with all this black pain every day. Not just about numbers of males and numbers of women within the predominant culture. You got to deal with some stuff within certain types of Hispanics, males and females. Certain types of numbers within Asians, male and females. Oh, well, by the way, can't play this enough. Let me play this for a second on that. I almost forgot about that too.
Hey, listen. Buddy, I am recording you. You can finish talking to the girl. Under the contract, yeah? She gave me the money. Exactly. Yeah?
I don't know who you think we are.
She has the right to live here. She does want to live here.
This is what's going to happen.
Okay, finish talking to the
call the
police.
The police are going to come here.
Buddy, I don't care if the police come here. They can come. I need the police to come here.
If you guys did not do any crime, which you guys didn't, then you guys should get the money, right? So we're gonna wait for the police. I don't know anything about what's going on. All I know is that you guys came here and asked for money, okay? And that's because it's not like a robbery where you guys are pulling a gun out.
What kind of gun you have? I don't have no gun.
You guys have a...
Oh, I need it. The gun. Yeah.
What do you say?
I talk. I am with my wife and my son. Yeah.
Guys,
they are threatening us. Yeah.
Guys,
so I think they have a gun. Yeah.
You heard that? They're threatening us. They think we have a gun. That's crazy.
My wife said they have a gun.
She never said that, bro. Yeah, you're a shitbag. Fuck you.
Transfer? You want my email? Yes. Okay. I'll send it to your number. Yes. 6 plus 5. No, I need it now. I'm not leaving now. I get the phone now.
How do I know?
This is only 4.
That's him.
Did you say there was a gun here?
Oh, Lord.
No, I didn't. But my wife.
Who called and said there's a gun here? Someone called and said there's a gun here. Yes or no?
Oh my God, I'd love for you to search this car just so you can carry your gun.
Look how many police officers are here from what somebody said there's a gun here. Think about what you're saying. Look how many police cars are here.
Just to try and get us to hurry up and get away
Maybe
from
my
here.
wife, because I didn't say.
Well, who called? Maybe you should bring your wife
You
out
can
about
ask,
this. I'm asking you! Who called?
I called.
So who said there's a gun here? Who said there's
Man, that can't be played enough. The disgusting violence of that. You saw that this was a number of Asian male that called law enforcement on this on this black man and black woman, and lied outright, saying that there was a boom boom piece of equipment that they supposedly had that his wife said. And they were like, his wife didn't say that. You see that? It could have been totally different. And you think that particular number, that scenario, the Asian male did not know in that skull of his that, hey man, if I call the law enforcement, I can get these black folks in trouble. And then when it came out there, well, who called? I never said anything. Well, who called? Disgusting. Now, even though this was going on, this still would have been part of the Americas overall, or the North American continent, should I say. Still. So the American black woman, for the ones who want to play this little disgusting game of going against their own American black males, just understand, however numbers of males within the predominant culture, the ones who know they are, that can't stand your guts anyway, you don't understand the power of, they don't understand the power of supremacy as well, even more. Because again, the American black culture only has half a generation to 1 generation left. That's all. That's it. That's it. That's it. But let me play, excuse me, let me play something else for you. Because again, I relay this over, not saying one particular area, because it can go different areas on this, best believe that. But it's just a thing about how the law was passed specific for Asians. But black folks couldn't get anything. Even though the number one most hated male in the society is still the American black male. Still don't get any programs to help them out. Don't get no programs of any significance to help black youth out, specific for them. Right? I'll tell you. But let me play something else here for a second. Right? Let me play something else.
What's the issue?
What's up?
Why are you coming over here?
I just want to see what you guys are taking pictures of.
Why is it your business?
Well, you know what? This is my home.
Okay, mine too. Why are you taking pictures
Where
of
do you
me?
live?
I live in Scottsdale. Why are you taking pictures of me?
Michigan plates?
Yeah. Why are you taking pictures of me?
Well, you know what? We've had problems here.
I don't care. You don't know me. Why are you taking pictures of me? And I don't know you. Do you know a lot of white men are doing racist things in this world, sir?
No.
You don't know that? You're not aware
I'm
of
a
that?
racist.
You are a racist.
I'm a racist.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay? So
what's
the
your
issue?
point? Why are you here?
Because this is a no zone.
What is that? That's not understand. This is why, again, I want to have this in a historical, in a timepiece, right? So when there is more things like this come from numbers of Asian personnel against the American black males and black women, but especially American black males, then there can be no excuses then for numbers of African and Native Black males and women down the road, because there are going to be more numbers of males and numbers of American blacks in general that's going to have more hatred put upon them by numbers of Asian personnel. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just watch. It's going to happen because the demographic numbers are growing. They've already got a law passed specific for Asians and other type of personnel, right? And how numbers of them laugh and say, nothing happened for the American blacks. They didn't get no laws in specific for them. And still talking about blacks against Asians. What did I show you? This Asian Pacific male, looking like Mr. Miyagi, you heard him saying that he said he is a racist. This Asian male. This Asian male, that Asian male said he's a racist. And what did that Asian male say? There is a no Negro zone. Or no N-word zone, should I say. What did the other Asian in this North American continent say? The video I showed right before that. Outright lying to say there was a boom piece of equipment that his wife said that the black personnel had in the car, which is an outright lie. When is it more American black males or American black folks overall in general going to understand this? It's like the great Dr. John Henry Clark on his magnificent video called "We Have or You Have No Friends." And again, that's not a literal sense because there is a few, extreme few by different ones, numbers of persons within predominant culture, some Asian, some Hispanic, and that's extremely few because overall it does not matter relating to significantalities overall. Now that does not mean that some of Asians that do try to look at things more humanity for black folks, keep doing your thing. Numbers of Hispanics, the small amount that try to do things, that wants to do things for American blacks overall, it ain't gonna be that many at all. You best believe that. What we call Native American, that stuff is almost complete out the door on that part. Numbers of them don't care nothing about American blacks at all. You better go look up in history, what it called, what was it? Black slaves, red mouses? I think it's called Black Slaves, Red Mouses. That's a different topic in itself. In that situation, good little mini documentary on that. But I think Black Slaves, Red Masters, right? And certainly there's not a gigantic amount of personnel within the Panamese culture that give a 2 cents of a papa leg about black folks in general, especially black males. But again, the very few do your darn thing. Credit given to the small amounts that try to do their thing. But understand that is your choice to do that. You don't get frosted cookies for doing that. You do it because you want to do that. Hell, some people should know the black personnel, as much stuff they've done for people to sit there and attach themselves to get resources. Just like legal immigration, border breaking personnel sit back and laugh at American black males and women. You know, some of the ones that jump up and down talking about minorities and migrants and stuff like that. When they're illegal immigrants breaking border immigration laws, they ain't thinking about numbers of American black males and black women. But certainly they can't stand American black males. They don't care. They're about themselves. Let me play you one last thing I'm going to play you again because this can't be talked about enough.
We remain a hunted people. Now you think you have a destiny to fulfill in this land that historically has been ours for 40,000 years. And we're a new mestizo nation. This is our homeland. We cannot, we will not, and we must not be made illegal in our own homeland. We are not immigrants that came from another country to another country. We are migrants free to travel the length and breadth of the Americas because we belong here. We are millions. We just have to survive. We have an aging white America. They are not making babies. They are dying. It's a matter of time. We have an aging white America.
And so you see what is going on. See, you got personnel. They ain't thinking about the American black males, American black women. They're about themselves. They're about their cultures. And, you know, however numbers of ones within that person's culture, they're like, hey, man, they ain't down for that. They're like, we don't care about you. They call them sellouts in various parts of the culture. Because if it ain't about what I just showed you, what they call Aztlan, AZTLAN, AZTLAN rising. That's the name of the video, Aztlan, which means basically reconquering it over the southeastern states. On that, southwestern states, because they seem to keep thinking this is Mexico. I'm gonna say the word wrong answer. How can it be called Mexico? And you ask most personnel, well, can you explain? I don't go into all that. So the thing about it, how can it be Mexico when you had indigenous, we want to call indigenous people, they're already there before what we call the Mexica personnel, right? That's a whole different topic in itself, whole different history part. Right? And so it's like the thing about it, the person, you know, there's all kind of battles showing up, whatever. I don't want to go there. That's a different situation. I'm just saying to you that it is a whole mess in general that this stuff is allowed to happen. Aslan is very real demographically. Remember, like I said before, one of the shows, it used to be the top two main culture, the top three by demographics for quite a while was the Caucasian, a white, the American black or African American, what we call the Native American people. Those are top three for generations before. Around the year 2000 plus or minus, what we call Hispanics, whatever that's supposed to mean, because keyword means Spanish, and there are quite a number of Hispanic personnel that don't like other Hispanic personnel, right? But again, that stuff is not talked about enough. Right, they say Hispanic in general, right, as if there's some kind of Hispanic unification of unity among each other. And how many Hispanic, they got a big time caste system also based upon, you know, higher whiteness in their non-phenotype. And the darker they are, the less civilized that they are treated. That's a known fact within numbers of Afro-Latino personnel. But that stuff is not talked about enough. It don't take but a piece. You don't have to be a volcanologist or paleontologist to sit there and you look at TV from Spanish TV and sit there and see again the non-melanation, the high non-melanation in the skin of the personnel, and predominantly based on those telenovela shows, meteorologists, news. You don't see some kind of pauper looking Hispanic, some type of what we want to call indigenous. What am I saying on that part? Because again, some people say, oh, they're descendants of Aztecs or some other different type Aztecs, some other type of maybe what they call indigenous, or we want to play that, indigenous people within various parts of across the border in different areas. That would have been already there before you. I'm going to all that. So the thing about it again is that number of Hispanic personnel can't stand black folks, American blacks. Number of Asian people can't stand American black folks. Numbers of Native Americans, we would call them, can't stand black folks. And definitely numbers of personnel within the predominant culture can't stand black folks, American blacks. And for some freaking illogical reason, you still got numbers of American blacks that still can't get their skull. Not some, but overall still can't get that through their skull that so many cultures don't care nothing about them. And then American black males still have to battle with their own American black woman overall. That is too many problems. An American black male has to sit there and figure out what they want to do. The ones who have already made decisions like, okay, they're not going to deal with a lot of American black women overall, because there are some real, still beautiful, good-minded numbers of black women. There's still some around. But the system makes it hard for the American black males that want to find them to see them. See, this ain't that all that out of context, the biblical concept, right? When they want to pop up on certain type of scripture, should I say, he that findeth a man, he that findeth a man, as if that's literal sense, as if the man's supposed to sit, if the woman's supposed to sit back and say, well, I'm not going to do a darn. Black woman's supposed to sit back and say, I'm not doing nothing. I ain't approaching no one. I am the prize. He that found the good woman, right? That he's supposed, the black male, I'm saying the black man in this situation, is supposed to just search out the American black woman. That's not what it's about. That's about the interpretation that's usually done incorrectly by numbers of American black women overall. That has nothing to do that the man must be the pursuer like some animal or something. I don't think so. Especially these days and times, right? Where American black women are supposed to be independent, but you best believe a gigantic amount of American black women are not going to approach American black women, American black males, because they don't want that rejection. I give much credit to the numbers of American black women who say, forget that crap. Forget that outdated, archaic thought pattern. They say if they see an American black male that seems interested in, they're going to sit there and go for him. If he says, hey, I appreciate it, but they have a girlfriend or they married or some other things, right now, I'm not trying to get a relationship. That American black woman, it uses the American black woman don't take that personal. It's like, okay, I appreciate your time and thank you. And the American black male goes off his way and the American black woman goes off her way. But I give credit to numbers of American black women who do not wait around in some archaic system for the man to approach them. And the American black woman, the ones that sit there and say, okay, they take the risk. A rejection, which had nothing to do with risk. You're saying, okay, they see something they like, they want to approach the person. If for whatever reason they're interested, if they're interested, fine, great. If they're not, whatever reason, that's fine too, right? They don't take away from their confidence, because that's what real confidence is in a true great American black woman to my present day, right? Hey, they're approaching black male, so be it. Black male says, no, I'm not interested, or most people don't say stuff like that, but no, again, they're married, got a girlfriend, whatever, however it goes, whatever it is, trying to focus on their life, whatever it is. The American black woman just takes that, okay, bet, okay, appreciate the time. I give credit to American black women who about that. And the ones that try to take that, and the ones that try to take the ones that not, and the ones that do not give credit and respect when they take that stuff out in the biblical context and take it all out of context, talking about he that found the good man or found the good woman, and try to take that stuff literal. No, the American black male that finds a good wife has nothing to do with literal sense. That's just saying that the American black male that comes across that black woman that is like rubies, that understands the proverbial saying of you catch more honey, right? Let me phrase it. Let me throw my own stuff. You get a lot more honey when you throw out the good honey, right? And you want to share honey. So I'm coming from. You throw out the honey. Black males sees, okay. The honey represents the continence, talking about your face, your aura about yourself, the goodness that excludes through the beautiful black woman who is about non-combativeness toward the American black male, as so many are about combativeness, right? For no reason. Because this system doesn't care overall about American black women. How many examples can I sit there and give over and over, right, of how numbers of American black women have been just messed over by numbers of males by within the Panamese culture and having other cultures. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you one last thing on something. Let me show you one last thing on this. Very, very important on that. Where did it go? I still have it. Okay.
female. Assault on the female. Are you serious?
Yes, I did.
No, I did not.
You hit me. You hit me.
Oh, you getting a whole lot. Get the fuck off me.
Here at 3400 Wilson Boulevard.
Get the fuck off me.
What's going on here?
Get off me.
The address is Misha. It's down at Wilson Boulevard. Wilson Boulevard.
I cannot believe.
1 minute. You're a woman.
Get off me. I was not stealing.
You're stealing.
No, I was not. You checked my purse. Get off.
You hit me. No.
Get off me. Cause you're tripping.
I cannot make this more clear. This topic went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be expected, because I don't think I'm probably going to do another particular show like this. But I just kind of wanted to put this out on that. But I have got to play this one last time, because the American black woman does not understand overall that there is a system that cannot stand the American black woman. So while numbers of American black women look down upon the numbers of American black males, who will be your protectors? And numbers of American black women do not get that logic. You see what just happened, didn't you? You see what just happened to that black woman. She said that she's a female. No, to them, she's a Negro female. And you saw what? The Asian male almost trying to break her neck, squeezing like he want to pop a dirt pineapple. Squeeze. And he showed her black pain. And you saw the Asian woman holding that black woman's hand, pulling it, showing her black pain, black female pain. So I want to do this again as a historical timepiece purposes. So down the road, when you see numbers of more Asians, that show more black pain to black folks. And as I showed you about the Otsline thing, when you have numbers more Hispanic personnel, that's going to show a lot more wanting to be like personnel within Panamese culture, because quite a number of personnel within the Hispanic culture can't stand American blacks. Again, the good number of Hispanics out there who know you are, keep doing your thing, but that is not a significant number, right? It is about their own culture unity. I just showed you about Atslon. It is about numbers of Hispanic personnel that demographically want to sit there and be some of the top demographics in this country, politically, socially, economically, and they are doing it because they are the second largest population. And they don't care about some numbers of small amounts within Hispanic culture that are not like the significant others in their culture. They don't care about those small amounts. They say, we don't care about y'all. They have their own agenda. Certain places like in California or certain other places, that is a known fact. I mean, I could play that. That's a different whole topic in itself. Well, this particular video, if I remember correctly, where a black male saying that he can take personnel in certain parts, I think California, maybe today, something close to that, and he can show them that there is a type of strife going on between them as Hispanic personnel and black folks. This lady, it was this other documentary. It was talking about Afro-Latinos or something like that. No, they were talking about something that I think in Mexico, something like that, whatever it is. Whatever the city was talking about, they was talking about, that's a different topic going on all that. But this particular woman, she was talking about how if there is more understanding between high school, something was going on, but something about more understanding between the numbers of Hispanic youth in high school and numbers of like black youth in high school, something like that. You know, we need to come together and be together. I'm sitting there saying, this person's supposed to be highly educated. I'm like, my God, the English of that. The English of that. I remember myself seen before somebody in this store, some store, I forget what it was, but this black woman, I think she worked at some place, and this Hispanic guy was going off on this black woman saying, "Do you not speak Spanish?" And she was like, "No." And he was like, "Why? Why not?" And I remember this other situation where the Hispanic guy was inside this other store, and whatever store, I forgot whatever store it was. But this is a woman from the predominant culture, which is a different topic in itself. And so something happened where the Hispanic guy cart ran into this woman's cart, predominant woman's cart, and he started speaking Spanish to her, and he was like, and she was like, "I know what you said. You do really? I guess you don't know that. I know Spanish." And he turned red himself. See, many numbers of African ethnic blacks, they don't speak Spanish, they don't speak Chinese, etc., etc. They don't only know one language. And that is a detriment, extreme detriment to any type. Well, let me phrase, there's no future for American blacks anyway. Overall, one generation left. So they're going to be like cultural survivors, small amount. And those are the ones that are going to be like, they're going to be like cultural survivors. And they're going to have to sit there and compete, especially their black youth are going to have to compete, and they're going to have to compete about utilizing other languages. They're going to have to know the American black males, especially the black youth are going to have to know Spanish, Chinese, both. Keep going. Italian, maybe some Russian. I'm saying just pick a language. A language is. And let them learn. There was some guy, I don't know what this guy was. This is a black guy. Man, it was so impressive. And there probably some other ones out there. Man, they were like a super polyglot, whatever it is, when they know many, many languages. You just don't hear anything about American black males just knowing so many different languages. Now, I mean, that's not to say that has to happen. That's not the issue. But when he would go around in different places, I think they went overseas and things like that, or maybe within the country too, I think it was, where he would speak these different languages, man. And these different cultures were so extremely impressed, right? That this black male, they said, "Well, how'd you learn this?" He's like, "I taught myself." Some of them couldn't even know, they didn't really know their own languages. So even I think he was talking about somebody was like this Asian, he's overseas, I think it was, don't quote me on that, but say from one particular Asian culture, knowing this one language, and he knew that language of that particular Asian culture, and there was another, let me phrase that. Say fans like Cantonese and Mandarin. The black guy knew both of them, and I think one person now only knew Mandarin, but didn't know Cantonese, or it was vice versa. But this black man knew both Cantonese and Mandarin. Man, that just messed him up a little bit. Because one of the personnel didn't know Mandarin or didn't know Cantonese. And this black man knew both of them. There's going to have to be, for the American black male, especially for the youth, that's going to have to be taught a different language as well. Spanish and Chinese are probably some of the main languages. Those are Russian, and that's fine. But Spanish and Chinese are going to be some of the top two languages that, if all possible, that the black youth are going to have to learn and learn some instruments or instrument on that. But so I hope this was an interesting show, because I also wanted to do this type of show for a historical timepiece, because again, there will be more black pain that's going to be caused by numbers of people within the predominant culture, numbers of personnel within Hispanic culture, numbers of personnel within Asian culture, numbers of personnel within Native culture that ain't gonna care nothing about black personnel. But they're going to want to sit there and still keep these reparations and not be accountable for some of the ones that had black folks in enslavement time. Well, it's a long time ago. Don't even play that game. I'm the wrong person to play that game with, because again, how many personnel within certain type of native cultures keep talking about the white man took their land and they get reparations? So you can say that and jump to a volcano with that. I'm very well versed in that type of switchery too. So that's the thing about it too, is that there has to be a need for a lot of more black youth to understand about the cultural importance of history, and stop telling these youth to put stuff in the past. Stop listening to that bull crap. To telling these black youth that put stuff in the past. The past is power. The past is power. Because again, you don't tell the people from different other cultures to forget about their past, because that makes no sense. The past is part of memories of a culture and society. You don't forget about that. It's like somebody telling you forget about your birthday. Your birthday, who cares? You're 55 years old, so what? Your birthday doesn't matter. You're going to tell a kid that's 10 years old, 15 years old, youth that their birthday doesn't matter. So they will tell a youth as fast as possible, man, don't worry about that past. But you ain't gonna tell that child to forget about their birthday. Somebody's 45 years old. You got an elder that's 65 years old or 75 years old, 80 years old. Are you gonna tell them, hey, forget about your birthday? That's the past. You see the nonsensical part. These people are so brilliant about their switchery games that still rules so many millions of African enslaved black minds, because no personnel with any kind of sense would tell their people to sit there and forget about their history, because there's just not a lot of American black males and black women that sit there and will never tell that stuff too. You got quite a number of people within the African and Native black culture, males and females, that sit there and tell the youth, tell a lot of themselves. It's not about the past anymore. It's about looking forward to the future. But everywhere you look around, culture thinking about the past and also looking at the future, because that's common logical sense. But the system has done so much violence toward black folks over so many generations that you got numbers of African and Native black males and women that do whatever they can to get away from black pain. Right? They can't stand black pain. And instead of using that black pain for strength and empowerment, for a future for the youth, and even for certain parts of the American black adults, they're not looking at that as an empowerment tool, because that's what it should be, an empowerment. No other culture ever has sit there and had this type of enslavement in America like the American black male, American black woman. And with that should be of so significance. No other culture, no Asians, no Native Americans, no Hispanics have never had enslavement like anything to do with American blacks. Never. Never did it have Jim Crow laws of any similarity to black folks. Never did you have Asian personnel, Hispanic personnel, Asian personnel, Hispanics, that had to go sit in the back of the bus like black folks. Never did they have any kind of freedom ride, boom boom things going on buses. Never. They never had black Klansmen. Never. They never had any kind of Sojourner Truth. Never. They never had anybody like Rosa Parks. Never. They never had anything of the greatness of the Malcolm X and the Martin Luther King, especially when we start realizing, man, what's going on here for a second? You know, I'm not doing any violence. So why is violence trying to be put toward me? Because it makes no sense, right? When you start realizing, man, this is ridiculous, man. Right? And greatest like Deacons of Defense and the greatest of the Black Panthers, etc., etc. Greatness, the Paul Robersons, even the Booker T's and the Bois. I'm going all that debate with that, right? All those powerful, even like the greatness of James Baldwin. Great black males. This guy was in a eternal lifestyle category, by the way. Strong black male who still knew his blackness. And interesting that you have none of the personnel was in various parts of the eternal lifestyle category that go off on sit there and Chappelle, but talking about he's anti, whatever those alternate lifestyle category, 1,000 acronym names, but they won't talk about James Baldwin being chased out the country because first he was black. Ain't that interesting? That's not being brought up. Now, there are people who have never heard of James Baldwin. That's fine. They can go look him up. And person who know about him, so I don't want to go there. But see, that kind of stuff needs to be brought up too. He still was a strong black male. He just happened to be in our alternative lifestyle category, but he knew his blackness first. in many types of alternative lifestyle category with 1,000 different acronyms, which did not exist in James Baldwin's days. Right? And it's certainly when James Baldwin was a youth, those 1,000 different acronyms did not exist either. But most people don't want to bring that up. Right? So in closing, I'm just saying there's something about the strongness of the American black male who's not a sellout, who wants to learn more about his culture continuously, who likes to learn about different things going on around the globe, who continuously tries his best to empower himself with knowledge, to try to be a well-rounded person as best as possible and still stay humble and stay true. There's something about an American black male that is greatness with that. And hopefully there will be even more like that, just a little bit more, because overall, the American blacks have only half a generation to one generation left. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. Thank you. And, by the way, you have other different shows, so by all means, take a listen to some of those shows if you are inclined to do that. Otherwise than that, I appreciate that you tune in for this show because, again, not quite sure if I would do another show like this again. I may not, but I want to use this as a historical timepiece on that because, again, that's the thing about this system. They like to make sure that there is a culture amnesia within a culture, not to listen to anything that might be constructive, that might be beneficial, because there's a lot of culture amnesia going on within American black culture with so much black pain going on. So I appreciate it again for tuning in to the Real CP Show. Thank you.